From LALATE News headquarters in Santa Monica, this is the Midday Report on LALATE.
It's a big noontime this weekend with incredible great news about your fourth stimulus check update of 2021. In this recording, we'll go over your monthly stimulus checks and how many checks you're likely to get from those Democrats. Then we cut to the recon. A done deal. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to the American people. This is fourth stimulus, not third stimulus. Third stimulus was checks for children. This is checks for everyone, including my seniors and also my workers. Then we cut to the vote, the bills, the dates. The final 15 minutes of this video will be jam-packed, as Chuck Schumer has now cause of alarm for some viewers, including myself, as he's progressing the recon at its own pace, but the bipartisan at a faster pace. Why was Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and Bernie Sanders having an emergency meeting about this? What did Jalopal do? What did the president do? Meantime, I'll insert my own opinion into the discussion, as a very controversial insertion of a provision was put into the roads and bridges overnight, ambushing everyone and really blackballing an entire industry in a way that it did not see coming. And finally, I'll be very opinionated in my comments about the president's failure to take care of the eviction moratorium, allowing it to expire overnight and saying it's very easy money for you to get. It's very easy if you have 6 volunteers that are helping viewers across the board get the money, and you have a YouTube channel helping viewers get the money. But for the American people, it's not that easy. And I congratulate Nancy, who got $30,000 of rent, utilities, and SNAP for this channel, and Mark, who got over $30,000 for rent and utilities, but because that's where we have videos on this channel, and I have volunteers helping them. But the average American, it's not easy. And the president has lost focus on allowing the eviction moratorium to expire and think that this money is very easy to get. But for me and for you, we're going to figure out how you can get through this together and show you how you can get this money easily from this channel, not necessarily from this president. It's a big new time. It's a big day, and I'm not sliding in stuff under your road and bridge. Only Christensen is. We have all the details coming up right now on noontime LA. Hey, good noontime, everybody. How you doing? I hope the weather is great where you are. It's beautiful weather here. It needs to be, because it's really heating up. The legislation's heating up. I hope you're having a beautiful day. Jump in the live chat and tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. In this fourth stimulus check update of 2021, we have so much great news to start before it gets off the rails later on. We'll go over those monthly stimulus checks and why those Democrats are likely to give you more months of checks. Then we cut to the recon. A done deal. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to the American people under this recon. This is a historic day, as Bernie Sanders proclaimed, for the American people. Then we go to the bipartisan, the roads and bridges, and why Chuck Schumer was cause of concern for me on this channel, cause of concern for Bernie Sanders and Nancy Pelosi, cause of concern for a lot of people. What is Chuck doing and not doing to help us? I'll have all the, and I am saying Chuck Schumer. I'm not saying Mitch McConnell. I'm saying literally Chuck Schumer. Then normally I would have fifth stimulus in this video, but I'm not today because I'm very upset about what the president has done to the American people for the eviction moratorium. He did not take care of this. This is a lazy action by him. He did not take up the situation, and he has been apathetic and ineffective and out of touch as to how easy this money is to get. But I'm going to show you how it's easy for you to get it when you watch me with YouTube channel videos day in, day out, and I have volunteers to help you. If you don't watch YouTube channels, then it's not so easy to get this money. I'm going to congratulate Mark, who got over $30,000 for this channel, and Nancy, who got $30,000. I'm going to show you how you can get this money so easily, despite what the president thinks, that you can sort of just snap your fingers and $30,000 appears. And this is LALATE, America's only 24-hour day, 7 days a week financial news channel, live in the morning and taped at afternoons. I know this show is normally live, but this was taped minutes before it airs today. Hope you're having a beautiful weekend morning as well. Also, like this video, 3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Let's get all to the details in this really jam-packed recording. It is going to be jam-packed, folks. Stay with me to the very end. Let's start with those monthly stimulus checks, which at the moment look like the easiest part of this video. The 4 stimulus checks. Democrats want you to have a monthly stimulus check for the remainder of the pandemic plus 1 year House bill. Senate approach is to July to December. Let's go over the payouts. House is $1,000 a month. Senate is monthly unknown, but word on the street is the Senate would pay you this. Deliciousness. $2,000 over 6 months, $12,000. Or $1,400 over 6 months, $8,400. We had wondered whether the legislators would not give us a check 5 weeks ago when the pandemic was ending, and when I mean not give us a check for more than 1 year. We were thinking 5 weeks ago maybe they would just give us 12 checks, but now we see the pandemic's ravaging out of control. 3 weeks ago we realized the pandemic is not over. 2 weeks ago we realized it's far from over, and now we realize it has no end in sight. That means that the House bill, pandemic plus 1 year, would likely pay more than 1 year of checks, which would be more than 12 checks to the American people under the House bill, which would be more than $13,000 of checks to you from the House. Let's compare that to the Senate. I think you have an opinion. Jump in the live chat right now and vote House or Senate. House or Senate, tell me where you're tuning in from and how's the weather. Who gets this fourth stimulus check? Democrats represent that everyone who got third would get a fourth. Democrats represent single individuals, $75,000 or less, or you get a fourth stimulus check. Democrats represent married couple, $150,000 or less, or you would get a fourth stimulus check, double it. Democrats represent a family of four, gets a fourth stimulus check, quadruple it. And if you're on benefits, SSI, SSDI, Social Security, railroad benefits, Democrats represent, you get a fourth stimulus check. The fourth stimulus check is not income, it's not taxable. The fourth stimulus check would be the same amount for adult dependents and everyone else. The fourth stimulus check is not a waivable check. And I learned my lesson from Ron Portman this weekend. I went to Ron Portman's potbelly roast last night, and I saw him from afar, the senator, the Republican. I walked up to him and I said, "Hi, Senator Portman. Hello, Elliot. I recognize you from your purple shirts. Thank you." I went to walk up to you and introduce myself rather than, wave from afar. "Well, Elliot, I'm not a waivable check." "Well, yes, Senator Portman, you're not even a monthly check." "Oh, that's not very funny, Elliot." "Well, I know. You're the guy that said, 'Get back to work, you're lazy.'" "Oh, I did say that." "Well, can you work on this potbelly roast? It's not cooked enough. It needs more work on it. Get out of here, Elliot." It was very raw. I don't eat raw meat. Maybe that's how he does his bills also. Fourth stimulus check is also heating up. But one thing that's not heating up is the pork belly roast. In the second half of this video, we'll be going over the recon, the recon, $3.5 trillion of checks to the American people. That recon has lots of checks. This is not third stimulus. This is fourth stimulus. Checks for seniors, checks for workers, checks for American people, checks for free internet. I'll be going over all that deliciousness of the recon in the second half of this video. In the third part of this video, we'll be going over the two paths, the recon and the roads and bridges bipartisan. And why is Chuck Schumer doing something that is potentially causing cause of alarm for me? Am I overly concerned? Am I overly neurotic? Or is this something that caused an emergency meeting between Nancy Pelosi and Bernie Sanders on Thursday? And then normally I turn to fifth stimulus, but today I'm not happy with what the president did with the eviction moratorium. So I have to dedicate that part of this video to that section of this video, and it will be very opinionated. So get ready for some opinions. But first, let's get some money, and here you go. Later in this video, you're going to hear the president say that this money is very easy to get. It ain't, Mr. President. That's why I have videos. I wouldn't be making videos if this money was so easy to get, Mr. President. But he thinks this money is so easy to get. That's coming up later in this video. But let's go over the money he thinks that sort of appears on trees. Congratulations to Mark, who got $30,000 that appeared on trees, but without my videos. Mark got $25,000 of rent and $6,500 for utilities. Richard got $22,000 of rent, which just miraculously appears, according to President Biden. Angela got $5,000 over utilities. It just showed up in the mail with a bow for Angela, according to this president. Nancy got $30,000, which was $24,000 of rent, $7,000 of gas, and $5,000 for SNAP. She just snapped her fingers, Nancy, and the money just appeared, according to this president. Oh, Mr. President, that's coming up later in this video. But first, let's go over all this big money. What's going on? I want to get you this money. It is money for rent, utilities, internet, and SNAP. And get a pen and paper ready. I'm going to show you how to get this big money. It's your day to get this big money. I'm so excited for you. You're doing such a great job. When I was recording videos about this just a few weeks ago, I said for $5,000 for rent, I can get you $5,000, 4 to 6 months of rent. Now we have viewers getting $20,000 to $25,000 of rent, whether it's Niecy or Richard or Nancy. Then for utilities, I said I can get you $300 for utilities. Now we have viewers getting $7,000 for utilities like Mark and Nancy. And then when we talk about SNAP, I have Louis, who got $18,000. Yes, Louis, $18,000 for Snap. And also John, $10,000 to $12,000. What's going on? This is what this channel does. This is not a check tracking channel. This is a check cashing channel. There is a fortune for you to cash, and we've been cashing it since day one. When EIDL loans and grants were launched, it was supposed to, under the law, pay you within 3 days. We weren't holding up a calendar saying, the month of July is over, where's our EIDL grant? Well, it didn't come. It was supposed to come in 2 days. It didn't come. We didn't track the check. There was no tracked check to track. We cash checks. And I got, viewers, $25 million of EIDL loan checks. In fall of 2020, second stimulus checks were not coming because it was not a law yet. But I got, viewers, $250,000 of checks to cash, like Tyrone and his family 4 out of Boston. Got $15,000 for rent. Paid all their rent all the way to spring. Now you're doing it again, but I'm so proud of you. I'm proud of you whether you got $10 or you got $30,000. You're killing it, massive sums of money. So get that pen and paper ready. I'm going to show you different places to get this money from. Each has different eligibility. You reach out to each of them. Reach out to each of them. If one says no, reach out to the next. They also have their own pot of money. Also listen to the keywords. Those keywords really help viewers, they tell me. All right, you ready? You're going to reach out to your city hall, your city housing authority, your county hall, your county housing authority, your state hall, your state housing authority. The keywords you're going to say are rent assistance because of COVID, or mortgage or utility assistance because of COVID. You don't say words they don't know, like stimulus or Mitch's popularity contest. Did he win? I don't think so. There you go. And congratulations to Tim and Linda, who got this wonderful pot of money. If you got rent and utilities, post in the live chat. Let's go to the next pot of money. It is the money for your Snap. John got $10,000 to $12,000 for this. Louis got $18,000. I'm so proud of him. And what is Snap? It is money for food. How do you get it? Department of Agriculture. How much does it pay? A lot. Family of 4 out of Hawaii gets upwards of $16,000 a year. Wow, so much money because of 2 wonderful executive orders, one from Biden, one from Trump, that raise your benefits up 15%. So go get it. It is money for your food. It comes from Department of Agriculture. You're killing it. I'm killing it. If you got Snap, post in the live chat. We're only 11 minutes in this video, and we've gotten $18,000 for Snap, $25,000 for rent, and $7,000 for utilities. We're just getting started. The next part of the money is the money coming back from your states due to overpayment of unemployment benefits and a computer error. This is in the case of one viewer, $5,000, another viewer got $3,000, another viewer got $2,500. Where's it landing? Direct deposit. Can you track it? Yeah, contact your state and say, hey, state, where's that check due to overpayment of unemployment benefits? And can you track it with a computer that has a keyboard? And finally, the last wonderful refund check is that one coming back from IRS. Margaret got it, Cod got it, Michael got it. But if you haven't gotten it, don't worry. It's a waivable check. Sorry, Ron. That waivable check currently has a refund amount of $1,265, this wave. And this wave started July 14th, and a paper check July 16th. There's a new wave every week. Where's it landing? Direct deposit, otherwise in the mail. When? How much? Let's say you had $9,000 of unemployment benefits. You pay $5,000 of taxes, of which $4,000 was your taxes on unemployment benefits. Congratulations, getting back $4,000. Can you track it? Yeah, go to irs.gov and do transcript search. And it'll reveal the tax return you filed, the taxes you paid. It'll reveal some stuff you never knew, like when Mitch appeared on Star Search and the spokesperson contest. Did he get his hair done at Nancy's salon? And then it'll reveal the refund check you're getting. Can we top that? We can, as we go into the second part of your Forced Stimulus Check Update 2021, starting right now. Deal done. The recon is a done deal. 2 weeks ago, the Democratic senators all met together and agreed upon the price tag and agreed upon passing it. This include all of the Democratic senators. Yeah, they change their opinions certain times, but this was their representation then. $3.5 trillion of checks are coming to the American people. This is you. This is not children. This is everyone, including my seniors and also my workers. This is a big deal because originally the recon had roads and bridges in there. It was not passable. They had to take the roads and bridges out, put them in the bipartisan, and it made the recon passable. The confirmation comes from conservative publication. The conservative publication reported recently my same report. The higher the price tag was on the recon originally with roads and bridges in there, the harder it was to pass. There you go, confirmation. But by allowing the Democrats to take out some of the spending from the bipartisan, from the recon, and put it into the bipartisan roads and bridges, the overall price tag of the recon got smaller. There you go. In other words, the bipartisan deal made the recon passable. Yes, and in fact, both of the two legislative items are now passable. The recon, our money, and the bipartisan. The Democrats had basically shrunk the recon by taking roads and bridges out and then blew it up a little bit more to a price tag they liked. They got it, $3.5 trillion, a celebratory moment for American history. Representative Elon Omar had previously said the recon has to go as far as we want it. You got it, Elon, 3.5 trillion. And also Richie Torres said we have to have a larger recon. You got it, Richie, 3.5 trillion. Finally, the Progressive Caucus was meeting with the White House daily to ensure the recon went big and bold enough. They got it, 3.5 trillion. The progressives were told to protect the recon because everything in the recon is checks. It's all checks for you, and it's all progressive ideology. The White House had said, quote, the progressive priorities in the recon are its own priorities, said Brian Schatz and Jalapal, both progressives and both Democrats. Now, what is a recon? How is it written? When do we see it? Who writes it? And what are these other words we need to know? Let's go over all the details. In the last 7 days, I give broadcast media and print media an F for the reporting on the subject matter because they're confusing the terminology and making it hard for the readers to follow. In fact, they're using the wrong words for the wrong pass. On this channel, I only use 2 words. I use recon and bipartisan. And those are easy. Your money, recon. The roads and bridges, bipartisan. That's easy breezy for us. The problem is that the president and print media is using the other terms and sometimes using the wrong terms. So let's go over what those other terms are. Recon is also reconciliation. It's also the budget bill. Price tag 3.5 trillion. People quoting an article about it like a Bernie Sanders. Bipartisan, on the other hand, also called roads and bridges, also called infrastructure. Price tag less than 1.5 trillion. People quote an article about it, a Kristen Sinema, Mitt Romney, or a Ron Portman. Okay, let's go over who writes the recon. The recon is written by Democrats for Democrats to be passed in by Democrats. The authors, subcommittees of the House. Under the Constitution, the subcommittees are delegated different subject matters. So, for example, House Ways and Means is responsible for stimulus checks and unemployment benefits. Those subcommittees write what they're supposed to write. And let's say when they're done, they got 10 pages and there's 10 subcommittees. Those 10 pages are combined to 100 from those 10 subcommittees sent up to Chuck, and he puts a big ass on it. For sugar, sugary, sugar-coated, salty, humorous. No, for Senate. There you go. That is your reconciliation bill. Under the Constitution, there's no requirement to show us what they're doing until we have a bill. So no requirement to show us what they're voting for, voting against in the subcommittees, taking in, taking away, adding, or subtracting. When that recon is debuted, then we have a bill. And we have an emoji for this. Not bill yet, because we don't have the recon yet. When we do have a bill, then we have another emoji. Not law yet, because that will get modified 100% guaranteed. We now have confirmation about it. It's coming up later in this video. It's great news that they are modifying it. Well, until we have the recon, then broadcast media and myself both agree. The Democrats are not going to show you what's in the recon, sort of like a pop singer who doesn't want to show you have you hear the songs on her upcoming album before it's released. So if you do hear a person saying, I haven't heard, the reason why you haven't heard is because we haven't seen. How did we top that? We topped that from Jalapal, who recently wrote Chuck a letter saying, Chuck called the vote on the recon. This letter needs to be resent today, Jalapal. Jalapal, can you press the resend on the email? Because this really needs to be resent. You'll see why later in the final 15 minutes of this video. The letter was signed by 12 House Democrats who are among the 100 plus, yes, 100, who had written the president a letter saying, we're going to be giving you monthly forced stimulus checks. Whoa, got to keep them to that promise. Can we top that? We can. As 7 members of that House Ways and Means subcommittee, the same one that wrote that we talked about earlier in this video, wrote the president a letter saying, we're going to be putting monthly 4th stimulus checks into the 4th stimulus package. Wow. Yes, that's the same subcommittee of the House Ways and Means. That's the same promise. We got to keep them to that promise, Purple Power. They're promising monthly stimulus checks. They also represent there's going to be a 5th, and also they did your 3rd. Can we top that? We can. As the president got it done with the global minimum corporate tax rate minimum. 6 weeks ago, the president went overseas to have a global ceremonial signature. That ceremonial signature was actually effectuated into law just a few days ago. It's huge news for us because it doesn't need to be in the recon now. And it's great news because this thing is confusing. Number one, easier to call the vote on the recon because it's confusing thing ain't in there. Easier to vote on the recon because it's confusing thing ain't in there. Easier to vote in favor of the recon because it's confusing thing ain't in there. And easier to pass the recon because this confusing thing ain't in there. Can we top that? We can. As we go into the final 15 minutes of this video, where I go over stuff that you have just seen for the first time on Noontime. A lot of breaking news. First, Kristen Sinema and that bipartisan group slide something into the roads and bridges that is horrific, that was not supposed to be in there, and that is angering an entire segment of the U.S. economy. including myself. I'll explain to you what that ambush insertion is on a Friday night. Number two, Chuck Schumer is not doing something. And what is he not doing? And was that cause for concern for me and Bernie Sanders and Nancy Pelosi? And number three, what is going on with the vote on the infrastructure, the roads and bridges, the bipartisan? Is Chuck trying to do it first before the recon? I'll have all the latest details. But normally I'll also be going over fifth stimulus. In this video, I will be going over the eviction moratorium. It was a big topic of discussion on this channel for over a year with an entire series dedicated to it. I'm not happy whatsoever with what the president said overnight about this, and I'm addressing it straight on, and I'm also addressing how important it is for you to understand the situation. It's coming up after the commercial break. Stay with me. I'll see you in 60 seconds. But first, something more wonderful. The volunteers. If you're having problems with that rent, that utilities, that internet, or SNAP, consider getting it now from the volunteers. If you notice when I was asking you to post your success stories in the live chat, it really inspires other people to get it. And consider getting that rent, that utilities, and internet, SNAP. But if you can't, reach out to the volunteers. Open the description. Look for that emoji of a house. Click the link. It sends you over to the community page. It's news.lalate.com/community. The volunteers will help you get that big money for rent, utilities, and internet. Here's a little about them. I'll be back with you in 60 seconds. If you want money right now, not 5 days from now, and not 5 weeks from now, then reach out to the community page. The volunteers can help you find that money for rent and utilities. That's at news.lalate.com/community. The community page features a series of volunteers who are viewers like you. They can help you find rent, utilities, SNAP, food benefits, mortgage assistance, and help you with eviction moratorium questions as well. Their Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram individuals reach out to them and indicate the city and state you're from, and they'll get back to you shortly. That's a community page. Volunteers working for you, viewers helping one another. Stay with LA for more. Join LALATE Daily for the excitement of the new LALATE live daily. The excitement starts on mornings LALATE at 9 a.m. Home LALATE returns at 11 a.m. daily. And then afternoons LALATE at 1 p.m. Join us daily as the excitement continues live from Santa Monica on LALATE. And the excitement continues at noontime LA with a breaking news report about the eviction moratorium. It's coming up for the first time ever on noontime. Breaking news, it's going to replace the fifth stimulus coverage normally at this part of this video. And then we'll cut to the final 15 minutes of what's going on with fourth stimulus. Why Chuck, Nancy, and Bernie are the focal point of the final 15 minutes. It's coming up in just a second. But first, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers is a YouTube record. I want you part of this channel. Hit that subscribe button right now. Thank you for this week for massive subscriber growth. And please, please, please stay with me all weekend long. There's a lot of developing details. I don't want you to disappear till Monday and then come back on Monday and say what I missed. You won't catch up. It's just too much going on. There's stuff changing by the hour. And I'm not even going to bring back this eviction moratorium coverage on Monday because there's no time to do it. Also, like this video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. Let's cut right into this eviction moratorium. This is a big issue, and I'm not happy. I will be very front with you. I'm really angry about this. Why am I angry about this? Last year when I was outside, the number 5 show every afternoon on Afternoons LA was Rent. At the time when I recorded the video, I would say it's a bomb of a show. No one watches it, but I keep it on this channel because it's important for you to know about it. The reason why I was talking so fast earlier in this video particularly was I wanted to leave enough time to get to this because this is so critical, and I apologize if I was a little too fast in talking early in this video. Eviction moratorium was urged and demanded by millions of Americans in the Trump administration. Eventually, President Trump did deliver it in an executive order announced on a Friday in fall of 2020. Once we saw it, we said, wait a second, this is not sufficient enough. It's not an executive order. It doesn't create an eviction moratorium. It just says, I order someone else to take care of it. Then after about a week or 2 weeks of break, suddenly the Centers for Disease Control, the group that you always see me run the COVID videos on, came out and said, we're taking care of it. We said, why? Well, the President Trump had reached out to CDC and said, you take care of this. So they did. And so they took care of the eviction moratorium over the next few months. It got extended over and over again. Throughout that entire time, I was saying it should not be done through the CDC. It should be done by a properly written executive order. But for that time, it still worked. Eventually, there was enough court challenges to this. And they ultimately said what I said, which was the CDC does not have control over eviction moratoriums. Why is the Centers for Disease Control even doing this? Had President Trump written it as a properly done executive order, there would not have been these challenges in the courts. Well, what happened was the CDC order got continued under this president's realm. When Biden came into office, the first week, he issued a series of executive orders about climate, about stamps, about climate, about stamps, not about this. Day one, he should have fixed the eviction moratorium. Day one, he should have done the student loan debt forgiveness executive order. He didn't do it. He just let this sit and get it rolled over. Eventually, the court challenges grew and grew and grew, and some of them were victorious. So, what did President Biden say this week? He said much of the same thing he said with the student loan debt forgiveness, that I see some legislative challenges to it, so I don't really want to touch it. Excuse me? You're supposed to write your own executive order. This is why I'm not happy. President Biden, had the opportunity to write a new executive order for eviction moratorium, and just do it correctly rather than relying upon an incorrectly done attempt by the prior president. He didn't do it. He just got lazy, didn't do anything. Just like he's lazy with the student loan debt forgiveness, didn't take care of it. And so when addressed with the situation over the last 14 days by Democrats saying, you can't let this expire, you can't let this expire, guess what he said? This is why I get more amped up about this, is he said, one, states and cities can go establish it. Well, that's the problem, is that we have red states and we have blue states, and a lot of states just don't want to establish it. But number two, the one that made me really upset, was he said, well, I dedicated all this money for you under third stimulus for rent. Just go get it. Excuse me? There's a reason why this channel is successful. It's because the money is hard to get. It's hard to get the rent. It's hard to get the utilities. It's hard to get the SNAP. It's hard to get these items. I've had volunteers on this channel since fall of 2020 helping viewers to get this money because it's not easy to get. And for him to sit back and say, I'm just not going to do a new executive order. The prior executive orders had challenges to it. I'll just let the states take care of it. There's just challenges to it. And just, the money's easy. Just go get it. This is just laziness. I'm not happy with the situation. I can see why Maxine Waters is probably coming through my nostrils at the moment, because she was furious about this on Thursday. She went to an emergency meeting with Nancy Pelosi saying, you need to do a legislative effort to get this passed. Why? Because the president said, I'm not going to do it by executive order. He actually told the Democrats that. He said, you want to go do a bill, you can go do a bill. Lazy again. It's just laziness on top of laziness on top of laziness by this president. So the eviction moratorium is set to expire. And unless you're protected from your cities and states, there is not going to be a federal executive eviction moratorium protection at the moment, as Delta ravages out of control. Now, on top of that, there's more reason of anger. And that is, no one likes when we don't see a bill, but no one likes when someone tries to slide something into a bill that doesn't belong in there. And that's what Kristen Sinema is doing. What is she trying to do? Insert in a tax provision for crypto into a roads and bridges bill. How do we get wind of this? The crypto industry got wind of this Friday night. That's why you're hearing it for the first time on this channel. And suddenly, the same people who don't want to show you what they're writing is inserting a provision that no one would agree to. And now everyone is running left and right. Let's cut to the final 15 of the final 7 starting right now with the discussion about the roads and bridges, and also the discussion about the recon. Let's start with the recon first. Your money. Done. Deal. The Democrats had met over 2 weeks ago to agree upon a price tag. They agreed. $3.5 trillion of checks that come to the American people. They agreed upon the price tag, and they agreed upon the passage of it. This was all Democrats. They were all in the meeting. They all agreed to it. I know that some Democrats have said sort of slightly contradictory statements since then, but that was their representation. And Tim Kaine, senator, said that this was a historic day because all they have to do is slide the provisions into the amount of money for the individual items, and we're done. That was Tim Kaine's comment. Bernie Sanders also celebrated the moment, saying, everything I wanted to get got paid for at 100%. I just got less of the time duration. He had asked for $7 trillion. He agreed to 3.5, which is exactly half, probably half the amount of time. $3.5 trillion of checks that come to the American people. This is checks for all walks of life, including seniors and workers. This is not third stimulus of the checks for children. Here are some of the provisions. Remember, we do not have the recon bill yet. Here are some of the provisions. Checks for free school meals for all, checks for tax breaks, checks for cheaper prescription medication, checks for immigration reform, checks for farmers, checks for elections, free internet checks. They're going to give fortunes to local cities so they can launch their own free internet companies and provide you free internet. Checks for clean energy, and here come checks for my workers and checks for my seniors. First, checks for workers, checks for independent contractors, checks for unions, checks for collective bargaining, and then checks for my seniors, checks for lowering eligibility age, checks for dental, checks for vision, checks for hearing care. All great news. Wonderful, wonderful, great news. Let's go over the roads and bridges. The roads and bridges had 3 votes in the last week. Why 3 votes? Here's what's going on. Chuck Schumer called a vote a week ago to end discussion on the bipartisan roads and bridges. Well, that vote initially failed because they weren't ready, but work has got them moving along. Then he called the vote again on Wednesday. It passed. And then he called the vote again on Friday. It passed. Mitch McConnell is in favor of it. The Republicans are in favor of it. So what did Chuck Schumer get out of this? He got movement. In fact, he got a sprint. What's going on? It's turning into a reverse of 2020. In 2020, Republicans would drag their feet so you would not get money. Now Republicans are trying to rush to the finish line before you to stop your money. What's going on? The Republicans are trying to get the bipartisan to a vote before the summer recess and leave, and then left us holding the bag, which Chuck already did a week ago, saying, I'm not going to allow that. Chuck said earlier this week, everything will get done by the summer recess. Yes. Everything will get done by the August recess. Yes. But here's my cause of concern. Maybe I'm neurotic. It's okay to be neurotic sometimes. You want to be extra careful, not being negative. I'm being neurotic, certainly. Is that Chuck Schumer has not mentioned any calling of the vote of the recon in over 7 days. What's going on? He called the vote 3 times to advance the bipartisan, and he got 2 last votes of approval. Now he says, going into Friday, that the roads and bridges will be ready for a bill vote to be passed by the Senate as early as the start of next week. That's fine, but how about the recon? Why aren't you calling the recon for an advancement bill, for an advancement vote? You haven't done it one time. I thought it was going to be called on Wednesday. When you said you had all the Democrats advancing the recon, why not call for a vote? And then, why is Chuck not giving us an update about when the recon bill would debut on the Senate floor and be called for a vote as well? Am I neurotic? Perhaps not, because Bernie Sanders had the same neuroses on Thursday, going to an emergency meeting with Nancy Pelosi. About what? This very subject. Bernie Sanders is a senator. He's not a House member. He went to Nancy in the House to say, Nancy, Chuck is not calling the vote on the recon first yet. What's going on? Nancy Pelosi has our back. Nancy Pelosi is being stubborn exactly when you want her to be stubborn. What is she saying? In late June, early July, and this week, she said the same thing. Bernie, if you send me the roads and bridges first from the Senate, I'm throwing it in the wastebasket. If you send me the roads and bridges first, I'm throwing it in the wastebasket. You must, from the Senate, send me the recon first. Otherwise, anything else goes in the wastebasket. Thank you, Nancy. That's what she told Bernie. That's what she told us. That's what she told us last month. She's not changed. But is Chuck Schumer changing? Suddenly, Chuck Schumer is very agitated and excited to call the vote on the roads and bridges bill in the Senate. Now, it's not cause of concern for us if Chuck does one thing before the other, but it's deeply concerning that he would flip-flop on this. Not to say that he has. We're not sure yet. But I am sure about the following. There's a series of Democrats, yes, Democrats, I can't believe I'm saying this, Democratic senators who said, well, the roads and bridges are almost done. Call a vote on the roads and bridges bill, and we can go back to our home states and have a very big celebratory recess for August. How dare them say that? How dare Democrats say, I have an achievement with roads and bridges, I'm going to go home and celebrate. No, you're supposed to take care of the recon first, Democrats. You're not supposed to be taking care of roads and bridges first. Now, if you were on Twitter last night, I launched a new Twitter campaign with Kristen Sinema's face that says she's more concerned about her roads and bridges than us. She's more concerned about fixing her road than fixing our lives. And she's more concerned about her fame than us. Not appropriate. All right. So that is a big issue of concern. Now, in a sort of tangential event, on Friday night, we learned that the Roads and Bridges group is inserting a provision in there, trying to do it on a Friday night and get it ready for a vote on Monday, the Roads and Bridges bill. What is that provision? A provision to regulate crypto. Are you joking me, LA? I'm not joking you. And that somehow the very savvy crypto industry got wind of it and has literally gone after it. You saw me on Twitter as well. I said this channel is not going to be supporting the infrastructure, roads and bridges, if you're trying to insert a regulatory provision of crypto in there. What does fixing your bridge have to do with regulating crypto? Not to say that crypto shouldn't be regulated, but not in a Friday night massacre and then try to ambush us on Monday and have the vote on the recon, on the bipartisan, and then suddenly crypto suddenly regulated. That's ambush regulation, and I won't tolerate it. So that is really, really bad hat. All right, let's now turn to what you need to know about the vote and the bill and the dates. All right, the recon has to land in the House first. If it does not land in the House first, Nancy still has your back. Despite those 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 Senate Democrats that say, Nancy, just do things first the way we want it. She says, no, I'm doing it the way I want it. It's my house. You're a senator. You're not going to tell me what I'm doing. Yes, Nancy. Thank you, Nancy. That's number one. Number two, Chuck needs to advance the recon. It's called the advance vote or any discussion. He needs to do that. He hasn't done one of those votes. What's going on, Chuck? You've done 3 for the recon. You've done 3 for the bipartisan. You haven't done 1 for the recon. Third, we need to get that recon bill to the Senate floor. Now, here's what you need to know, is that, again, the House Democrats are really watching your back on this one. The House Democrats have said, well, I know this recon has been worked up and written in those subcommittees, but the subcommittees have a few people in there. There's 100 plus House Democrats. There's 50 Senate Democrats. None of us have had our attempt to even modify the language, even work on the language. When we get the bill, we're modifying it. That's great news for us because remember, when we have a bill debut on the Senate side for the recon. We have an emoji for this. Not law yet. Those Senate and House Democrats say they're going to modify it. You want them to modify it because Purple Power, the bill may be imperfect. It may not have stuff in there. It may not have it right. It may have it right. You want them to modify it. There's a lot of twists and turns across the board, and you see how these things are unfolding. I'm back with you on afternoons at LALATE at 3 p.m. today with a new show, and then evenings at LALATE at as 5 o'clock show. This is all new programming today. Please stay with me all weekend long because these things are heating up. Please go onto Twitter and see my tweets with the Blockchain Association's comments about what Kristen Sinema is trying to do with the infrastructure. Roads and bridges. Please see my tweets as well on Twitter about where Kristen Sinema is trying to put her interests and roads and bridges interests before yours. Don't go negative. Don't go pessimistic. Be cautious like I am. And thank you for those wonderful viewers who have been reaching out to Chuck Schumer. It's working. Push Chuck Schumer to get the vote on the recon before the bipartisan. Recon goes for a vote before the bipartisan, the Senate. Chuck promised that, and he needs to do that. And with that, subscribe. 400,000 subscribers, a YouTube record. I want you part of this channel. Hit that subscribe button right now. Like this video, 2,000-3,000 likes, and consider becoming a member. I'll see you next on Afternoons LA with the throwback show at 1 o'clock and the new show at 4 o'clock. Stay informed, stay focused, and stay with LA for more.